Balzac.
Lauren Artis.
Melanie Cromwell.
Sishu Anaya.
Just skip me. Try to get everything.
Kevin. Name's Kevin.
Hi, I'm Alan. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. I don't know if this is the time to do it or not, but update from last week from USO. I've talked to 3 of my vendors, and they're going to give me a dollar for dollar contribution to donating food, single-service food to the USO.
Oh.
So, it'd be good for the USO and it'd be good for the Rotary.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I was going to give you a whole big speech on why I joined the Rotary, but I think we'll just skip that and go.
Well, thank you so much to everybody turning up. And even though Val maybe skipped why she joined the Rotary, I'll just jump in there and say why I joined. I mean, one of the important things for me is to be connected to the community and to help within the community when it's needed. One of the things as Rotary that we do is we have speakers, and this time we're so lucky to have Luanne Bennett agreeing to come to our group talker. So thank you so much. I'd like to share a little bit about her life. She grew up on a family's farm east of St. Louis. She and her husband Rick moved to Fairfax County 35 through a small real estate business until Rick was diagnosed with leukemia and passed away in 1994. Left a single working mother, which I can relate to for a long time. I was a single working mother myself, of 3 boys running a business. Luanne never missed a payroll, even during the recession. Today, a small business has worked on projects that create job opportunities for more than 1,000 workers and generate millions of dollars in economic development for the metro region. Luanne has also worked to help children and families throughout the region and across Virginia, serving on Virginia's Climate Change Commission, the Virginia Healthcare Foundation, the I Have a Dream Foundation, Turnaround for Children, and the National Children's Museum. Like all parents, Luanne is proud of her 3 grown sons, and she's a proud grandmother. Luanne learned that in challenges, you can always find opportunities. As a small businesswoman, Luanne understands that you have to work with whomever you need in order to get the job done. She's frustrated with the lack of results in Congress and thinks Washington needs more common sense and problem solving. Luanne earned her bachelor's degree in education. She was married to Congressman Jim Moran from 2004 to 2011 while he represented the neighboring 8th Congressional District, and they remained friends. Today, she continues to work with a number of foundations fighting for working families across the region and across Virginia. Thank you, Luanne. And over to you.
Thank you all for inviting me here. I'm thrilled to be here to speak to you. And thank you to Rotary clubs, locally and internationally, do so much wonderful work in this world. Their government can do a lot of things, but government can't do it. And it's really people like you who take care of their communities, care about communities abroad, and do really, really important work. You all are the strength of our country. It's what makes America great. So thank you all for being a part of Rotary and everything you do. I have been involved in lots of nonprofits over the years, and this sense of service and giving back for all that we have is something that's been very strong in my family, and it's really something that you all do as well. It's really important that we do that. Service is a big reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now. As you heard, I've been in the business community. I've owned a small business for 35 years with my husband. We started it together. We came to Northern Virginia as a young couple. We just got married. I did grow up on a farm in Illinois and loved that way of life. It's why I love the 10th District so much. The western part of the district feels like home to me. The small towns, the rural areas, farms. I grew up, with cows and pigs and chickens and all of that, and it's wonderful. It feels like home. And the eastern part of the district, we call Fairfax County. That's where I raised my family, my 3 boys. So I know both sides of the 10th district. I I love both sides of the 10th district, as diverse as they are. And the increasing diversity in Loudoun County, I think, is phenomenal. And the 10th district is a pretty special place. So, service. I've been lucky in life. I was born to great parents. Had nothing to do with that. I just got lucky. My mom and dad were wonderful, salt to the earth people. Taught me so many values. The value of family, hard work, community, and honor. I did grow up on a family farm, and on a family farm, you all pitch in together and you all work together, and that actually really set the stage for my later life. I met a young man when I was about 23 years old. We ended up falling in love, getting married, and someone asked me, what brought you to the East Coast? Followed my love. So, old story, but it's true. And so I moved here, and we settled in Great Falls. We bought a home. We were able to buy a home, unlike so many young people today. I grew up in the public school system. I am a product of the American dream. I grew up on a farm, went to public schools, went to a state university, and came out with very little debt, with no debt, actually. I was able to work my way through school and pay for it, and got out without being burdened by student debt. Too many kids today don't have that privilege, and so we do need to do something about student debt. That's one of the issues that we can fix this, we can work on this, and we need to do it, because it's an economic issue. We were able to buy a home. Too many young people can't buy a home until much later than we did. So we bought a home, we started a family, had 3 little boys in 3 years, and started a business. We started a real estate investment business. I worked with my husband, we raised our kids, we went to work, which was an interesting experience, but it worked out, and we really enjoyed it, and we had a common purpose, and now we went along, really well for 16 years, and built the business, raised our boys, and then tragedy struck. We found out that Rick had leukemia. So we spent a year when he was in treatment, optimistic, hoping that we could, fight it and he could survive it, and sadly he didn't. So all of a sudden, here I am at the age of 38, 39. I found myself a single mother of 3 little boys. They were 9, 10, and 13 at the time, and the owner of a small family business right in the middle of a recession. So things were not good. But I had no choice. I mean, that's all we had. I had to run the business. I had to make it work, because it's all I had to raise our kids. And we did. And I had people who came together, my family, I had friends, I had employees, people at their school, and we managed to get through. And a few years went by, and all of a sudden here we were, and the business was humming along, and the boys, were healing from that time, and did well, and going to school, and we, we survived the tragedy, and we're successful. So, fast forward, 22 years later, here I am. My 3 little boys are 3 big men. They're in their 30s. They're all married to great girls, but they've replaced their mother in their lives. and interesting little aside, I didn't expect the last child getting married to be quite as liberating as it was. And I don't mean that in such a negative way, but there's something about having your kids in someone else's care that really does free you up in ways that I really hadn't thought about until it actually happened. And I thought, whoa, they're really okay now. Now it's time for me. So anyway, they're all married. I have a grandson named Sam. He's adorable, and as you all know, there's nothing like a grandchild. They are a miracle. And the business is doing well, and it's growing, and it's humming along, and my employees are doing a great job, and I'm very fortunate to be working with great people. But you look around and since this recession, there are too many families who are still struggling, who who have many of the same struggles I've had along the way, but don't have the safety net, don't have the help that I had. And you wonder how you're a woman of a certain age, you start to think, you know, has my life had real value? Have I really done enough for others? And so it gets back to this issue of service. And how do you want to spend the rest of your time? And I would like to spend it in service and in helping people make their lives better, help them recover from this last recession. We need to finish this recovery. We need an economy that works for everyone, not just for a few. And some people are doing very, very well, and I think that's terrific. But we need to make sure everyone is doing well in this economy, and we can do that. There are things we can do. So that's a lot of the reason that I'm running. The things, you know, the problem, what I've learned in my life in business is that, you know, when you're in business, you go to work every day and you solve problems. That's what you do. I mean, that's kind of what it is. You go in, there's a problem, you face it, you solve it, and you move on. And it gets to be kind of second nature, problem solving. This idea that, you know, I can tell you I've never solved a problem that I didn't have to talk to somebody that I don't agree with. You know, I mean, that sounds silly and simple, but it's so true. I've never negotiated a deal or a transaction where I got everything I wanted. Surprised, you know? You make compromises. Compromise isn't a dirty word. But these are concepts that we don't seem to remember in Congress. So I really believe that the skill set that I have learned in business is one that could really be helpful in trying to bring both sides together. The problems we have facing us are all solvable, but they're only solvable if both sides come together. And I'm committed to making that happen. We have our differences in how we might want to solve them, but if we're willing to listen, we have more in common than we have in differences, and we can move us forward. And we have to get away from this all or nothing ideological approach to things. So I'm really committed to doing that. So the things that I would like to work on, when I travel in the 10th district, the things that I hear the most about from people here that are important to them are education. We all want our kids to have a top-notch education, to be prepared for a job for the 21st century. So we need to invest in education and infrastructure. Transportation is a big, big topic out here, which is understandable. People are caught too long in traffic. They're not at home with their families. So transportation is an issue, which is why I really want to focus on infrastructure spending. As a nation, we've let our infrastructure crumble for far too long. We need to repair our roads and bridges, upgrade our airports, our rail systems. Right here in Loudoun County, there are projects waiting to be done that would make our commutes faster, and that's not to mention Metro. We have a great opportunity with those 2 Metro stops at Dulles Airport. And what concerns me about that is they have to connect to a healthy system. So we've got to get Metro up to speed before we connect our Metro stops to them, or it's, you know, we're wasting an opportunity here. So I am all for bringing the federal government and all the jurisdictions together and finding a solution to Metro. I think it goes to infrastructure spending. If we had a major federal infrastructure spending bill or source, and there are 2 proposals right now in Congress. In the Senate, our own Senator Mark Warner has the Bridge Act. It's a bipartisan act. It's a way of aggregating money, some public, some private, that would be lent out across the country for infrastructure projects. It's a very good proposal. In the House, John Delaney has a similar proposal. His is kind of interesting. It has an interesting twist. It involves allowing corporations who have profits abroad that they won't bring back because they'd have to pay an additional 15% tax because our corporate tax rates are higher, and allowing them to bring that money back tax-free if they agree to lock it up, you know, lend it out for infrastructure improvements for 10 years, for a fixed period of time at 1%. So I think that's kind of interesting because it doesn't involve any taxpayer money. It's just bringing this, you know, we forego that 15% tax on this money, but they're not bringing it back anyway, so it's not something we have. So yes.
Can I ask, how is our spending on Metro? I was under the assumption that we spend quite a lot on our DC Metro, that somehow we're not maybe spending it well. Is that?
It's probably a combination of both, but right now it's in such disrepair that we have capital needs.
Yes.
So we have to have an infusion of capital. I think the only way this is going to work is if the federal government plays a real role in getting Metro up to speed. I do think Metro has to, you know, certainly look at its operations and improve and become more efficient. But we've got some real repairs to do, and there's hardly a week that goes by that we don't hear of something, and you know, we've just got to get it fixed. I mean, we have the 4th largest metro system in the country. I didn't know that, but if you do. So Metro needs to be repaired, and we've just got to find a solution to that. So transportation and education are two things that I really believe in because they're investments in our country. Both of them return money to us. When you invest, it's very different than just spending. And when you're in business, you understand that it's really important to invest. And that's what I believe education and transportation are. Of course, we all want safe and secure communities, and we have to be vigilant about protecting our communities. We need to get our intelligence communities to cooperate abroad so that we really get our arms around a lot of these incidents that we're seeing that are really terrifying. So we have to do that. That's the government's job to do that, and I'm committed to making sure that our communities are safe. I'm a big believer in we need to address climate change. I mean, the climate is changing. We can argue about why, but it is changing. And it does have ramifications on all of us, and I do worry about the next generation. I was appointed by then Governor Tim Kaine to his Climate Change Commission here in Virginia. This was a nonpartisan commission. I went on as a business member. He had members of the business community, members of both sides of the government, both parties, and the utilities, and every stakeholder involved to discuss the issue of climate change and how we can, protect the Commonwealth. One issue we have that's really serious and unique is Norfolk is the biggest military base in the country, and the sea level rise on our coast is a really serious thing. I just participated in a national security briefing, and the admiral that spoke with us said that the military has believed for 10 years that climate change is our greatest national security challenge. And what he said about it, which I found really interesting, he said, if you look at all the conflicts abroad that have happened, at the root of them is something related to climate change. And he used Syria as an example. He said Syria was the breadbasket of the Middle East for, centuries. Then they had a drought. All of a sudden it stopped raining there. So they've had a 10-year drought. It created civil unrest. And from that, we've got what we've got now. It's grown into a really serious thing. And they said our U.S. military is the 911 of the world. And they're getting calls, more and more calls from all over the world to come in and help solve conflicts, and fix problems. And so many of them are rooted, really, in a change in our climate. So it's something we have to acknowledge and address, and the United States needs to take a leadership role in this. I believe in equal pay for women. I think if women do the same work as men,
guys. You know, I think that's kind of common sense. It's not only fair though, it's an economic issue. 3/4 of all of our families with children have a woman working. Many of them are single breadwinners, and many of them are co-breadwinners. But it's taking resources away from our families, and so, we need to have equal pay. And another little factoid, the 10th district, where we are right now, has the greatest pay gap between men and women of all 11 congressional districts. Who knew? Who knew? So we've got to get to the heart of that, figure out why that's happening, and make a correction to that. I'm for comprehensive immigration reform. I think there is a Senate bill that was passed about 3 years ago. We need to pull it out, dust it off, and see if we can't get that passed and get past this issue of this immigration. And I do think we need to take on our national debt. Our national debt is getting scary. And there are lots of reasons for that, and it's going to be a tough challenge. But once again, it's one we can solve if both parties will come together and really talk about the hard issues we have to talk about. So that's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I want to hand over a healthy country and a healthy economy and a clean world to my kids and my grandson and your kids. I think we owe them that, and so I'm going to do what I can do to make sure that that happens. So thanks so much for having me here. Thank you for all that you do in our community here. It's so important, and your work is really amazing.
The first one is, I come from a country, Brazil, where you are absolutely, you must vote. That is, before you get arrested. You know, basically, it comes down to that. How can we, maybe as a Rotary, but how can we encourage people to vote? I mean, what do we do? I mean, it's really sad.
It's a great question, and it is so important. And people don't understand the power of the vote. It is where they can exercise their voice in their government. And regardless of which side you're on, it's so important that you go to the polls and vote. And I think part of it is so many people don't believe that their vote matters, that it really counts. And I also think when I was a young girl, we were taught civics. Every child in school had to take a course in civics, and you learned about your government. You learned what it did. You learned about representation, just the basics of how our government works. We don't do that anymore, and I don't think people understand what the benefit is, the benefits that our government provides. As I said earlier, I don't think government can solve all problems, and I am a big believer in our business community. But if we work together and we keep it all in balance, that's what's gotten us to where we are. And we need people to understand government isn't the enemy. There are important things that it can do and should do, and then there are other things it shouldn't do. And we just have to keep everybody in their lane. But how do we get everybody to vote? I don't know. I'm hopeful we'll have a very high turnout in this election. But we tend to have a better turnout in presidential years. So there is that. People will come out in presidential years. And here in Virginia, my God, we have elections every single year. So I think there's some voter fatigue. I'm kind of just tired of politics, just tired of it. And that's another thing. It would be nice if we could line up our local and state elections with the federal elections, so that we got a break once in a while. Go to every other day.
Has there been any talk about trying to make the election day holiday so that there is more voter turnout?
I know, that's a good idea. I mean, one thing is the signal it would send is that it's important, and it's a special day. And I think that could do a lot to getting people to actually do it. Great idea.
There's a referendum for county schools, for
Yeah.
public schools to have that day off. So,
Last week.
they did it last election in
Yeah.
November, and it helped, it helped also get the voters in and out of the schools where most of the polling places are. So
And maybe we can engage our business communities, you know, then they can kind of let their workers know it's important and give them a little bit of flexibility so they can go vote during the day and kind of ease up the restrictions on election day. If our business community would do that, that would be helpful too. Yes?
Actually, I disagree. I think that kids need as much education as possible, not to find more excuses to close schools. I think it should be made easier for people to have absence of ballots.
I'm sorry?
I think it should be made easier for people to have absence of ballots.
Yes, yes.
Because that's mainly what
Yeah.
precludes us. Closing schools, then people might have to take off work to watch their kids. Absence of
Yes,
ballots,
you're
they
right.
can just mail it in or bring it into the precinct.
No, very good point. Any other questions or comments?
I was, I mean, your first husband was not a politician.
No.
So you didn't have interest in politics at that particular.
Oh, we had lots of interest in politics, but it was kind of entertainment.
Ah.
As for a lot of people, you know, no, we were always very interested in politics, just not, and we always voted, but we weren't engaged in politics. I think he had thought about maybe running at some point.
I was just wondering, as a woman, how difficult it is to be in the political field.
We're talking to a woman who's in the construction business. So, you know, that's not exactly a female-friendly business either. I don't know. I don't find it particularly difficult. And maybe that's just because I've always been in businesses that were kind of difficult. But no, I don't find it particularly difficult to be. It's harder. You know, we have to worry about our hair and things that guys don't have to worry about. And I find with scheduling. Lauren is my scheduler. She does a brilliant job, and she's corrected this in a lot of ways. That I need a little bit more time between things sometimes, because sometimes I'm, you know, helping a nonprofit, you know, scrub a kitchen, and then I go to something where I have to be dressed up, and she gets that, and sometimes the guys don't get that so much. So there are little things, just practical things like that, but I haven't found it to be.
What are the boundaries of the 10th district?
Question.
What was the question? What's about?
What are
What
the
are the 10th
boundaries of the 10th district? Parts of Fairfax County. Now, it's north of northern McLean, Great Falls, then it wraps around Herndon and Reston. That goes to Jerry Conley's district, the 11th. Wraps around and it picks up areas like Clifton, Manassas City, Manassas Park, and a few counties that it goes into Prince William. It's all of Loudoun County, all of Clark County, all of Frederick County, including Winchester City, and then, you know, about 5 precincts in Prince William County. So it's, you know, and it goes to West Virginia and the Potomac River in the north. It's the most northern district. But it's a big district, big area.
I had two questions actually. So my first one was about climate change. And I think that climate change is a really tricky subject because a lot of people like to believe that it's not an issue, you know, so that or it will solve itself. So it must be very challenging to actually, you know, admit that it's an issue and talk to people about it. How can we actually change? I mean, I think even this area, getting people to do things around climate change is exceedingly challenging. Acknowledge it's a problem and do things. What could we do to change things? You know, and schools, obviously, I think they're doing a little better with things like recycling, but we're nowhere close to where Germany is. I mean, Germany's like phenomenal, you know. When they recycle, they go metal, paper, glass. We go, oh, it all goes in the bucket. And you think to yourself, how does it
Gotta
work
love
on the other
those Germans,
side?
don't you?
You know, how are they separating all of this? How are we really recycling? I'm sure I'm not the only person that worries about this. It's like, I really wonder why we're so disconnected with the fact that, you know, we have one planet, there must be limited resources, it can't go on forever, but we seem blithely unconcerned about it. And I wonder, you know, are you not finding that there's less resonance than you would hope for?
I see progress. I really do. I see a lot of progress, and you know, certainly our cars are getting more energy efficient. Our, you know, we're seeing more and more use of renewables and different technologies, and frankly, I think there's an enormous opportunity in the green economy for manufacturing of solar panels and wind turbines and, you know, things that, you know, that could really be helpful to our manufacturing economy. So, but you are seeing a change. I think, you know, we've been very lucky here, and we've actually been a little bit spoiled because our resources have been very plentiful. We haven't had shortages like they have in Europe. And they're used to having to conserve. I mean, they just, you know, the price of gas is very, very high. So it forces people to do that. And we've not quite gotten there yet. But we've made progress. We need to continue to make progress. And we need to just understand we're all in this together. You know, and the more, it's just common sense. When you've got, you know, our population growing as fast as it is, our Earth is a limited resource.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to take care of it. The other thing is, I have to tell you, I mean, I hate to harp on the western part of this district because I love it so much, but when you go out there and you see how beautiful it is, how can you not want to protect that? How can you not want to keep that as beautiful and pristine as it is for the next generation? So, you know, we're going to get there. And we just have to keep it.
Transport in this area, that's really challenging as well. Transport, I mean, we, over here, the metro's not gonna come as far as here. We have driving on 50, which, you know, and there are houses that are going further and further up there. And even though they've just widened 50, we just know that, what, it's gonna be a short time before that's full. There are buses that go from here into the city. There are really limited infrastructure. We seem highly reactive in this area. I don't even understand how we would get over that. Like, what even from a legislative or you know, how do they solve that?
I think this goes to this issue of infrastructure funding. If we had a way of funding infrastructure, we wouldn't be quite so reactive. We wait till something's really, really bad to fix it, because it costs money to fix it. And if we had a source to borrow from at very low rates and fix the infrastructure, I think we'd see us getting ahead of the curve. But you're right, we do tend to be reactive. Transportation in the metropolitan region is going to be something that we have to work with all jurisdictions to solve. I mean, it's not something that the 10th district can solve it and solve and leave everybody out of it. I mean, it's because we're all connected. So I think we do need to have some regional solutions. And we need, you know, an infrastructure spending bill. We need a federal government to play in this area. The federal government's the only entity with the kinds of resources and the ability to put together resources big enough to really do these big projects. States don't have that amount of resource in their budget caps. Their credit ratings would be, you know, ruined if they tried to do their infrastructure on their own, on a state budget. And so we bring in the private sector, and we find ourselves selling you know, some of our infrastructure and privatizing it, which I understand why a state would do that. I don't think it's a good long-term strategy. I do think there are certain things that are a public good and they're for everyone, and that the federal government needs, you know, to play a role in that, just to make sure that everyone's being served.
I have a question. You talked about apathy.
Pardon me?
You talked about apathy in
Yes.
voters. And I have a 20-year-old and a 19-year-old. And in talking with them and their friends,
Fascinating kids.
they're very apathetic. They believe our political system is a joke. Because they get, how many calls a night do you get? This is Hillary Clinton, this is Trump, this is whoever calling you. And you know it's just a robocall. And my son asked me the other day, why should I vote? Because it's all based on money. Whoever has the most money usually wins the election. And we certainly are going that same way now with everybody talking about how much money Hillary is raised or how much money Trump hasn't raised. And it seems like it's all about money. And the money buys negative ads. It doesn't put any issues out in the forefront. How can we change that? I'm almost to the point, I know this is not necessarily, I would give each candidate, here's whatever the sum is, $50 million. Spend it how you want. Once it's gone, it's gone. You know, because I don't want a blitz for the last 8 weeks of political TV ads. And I think we're ruining our kids because our kids see it and they realize it's a joke. You know, because my son said to me, well, let's see who raises the most money, they'll win. And that shouldn't be what an 18-year-old kid is talking about. We should look at the issues. But why is money such a big issue and not the real problem?
You know, you bring up a really good point. We do need to get money out of our political system. It is ruining our democracy. And it's fueling a lot of negativity. Our politics have gotten toxic. And you wonder why our Congress has such a low rating. I mean, why people have no respect for our government. We spend billions of dollars tearing each other down. And then one of us scoundrels goes to Congress. But everybody thinks we're a scoundrel because they, you know, all you hear are these negative acts. So you're right. Money enables that. We do have to do something. We need to, first of all, end Citizens United. That was a bad decision by our Supreme Court. But that's just a start. We really do need comprehensive campaign finance reform in a way that really does limit the role of money. The problem we have is we're such a free speech country that, you know, freedom and versus restricting money and voice and all of that, where it gets into some Supreme Court issues that we're going to have to grapple with. But I agree with you. It's one of the major things that is a structural problem in our democracy, and if we don't fix it, and our kids see it. You're right. They see it. So
I just hope we end up seeing it as a country, that we're turning our younger generation, the generation that's going to move this country forward. In 20 years, they're going to be the movers and the shakers. We're turning them off.
Thank you for your comment. I think that's really important. Yes?
So I have friends that actually couldn't make it tonight, and they wanted me to ask you 2 specific things.
Okay.
Something you touched on, something you did not touch on. So you talked about immigration reform,
Sure.
And so the question is kind of, what is your thought process on that? And then the second question, which is completely unrelated, has to do with the legalization of medical marijuana, and your thoughts on that with the thought of healthcare and the benefits of that, and that kind of concept.
Well, let's do immigration reform first. Immigration. I think we need a comprehensive approach to immigration reform. We clearly have to secure our borders. There's no reason why people should be able to come to this country illegally. However, we have 11+ million people here that we have to deal with. And the idea that we're going to deport all of them is really not practical. You know, whether it should be or not, it's just not. I mean, they're integrated into our system. Many of them are productive citizens, or not citizens, but they're productive members of our society. They're paying into our Social Security system. They support our agriculture industry a lot. They support our hospitality industry. There are major industries that would be crippled if we didn't. So, we may not like it, but there does need to be some give on that issue of how we deal with our immigrants who are here. And many, the majority of them are good people trying to do the best for their family, just like we are. And or they're fleeing bad situations at home. So I am for this comprehensive approach, and everybody's not going to like it for some reason, but we've got to get past this, because not to is just not acceptable. And we've got to fix, we've got to secure our borders. I'm not particularly in favor of the wall, but, whatever it takes to, what we need to do. So, that would be my approach. Medical marijuana. I have to be honest with you. I haven't given it a tremendous amount of thought. So I want to be a little bit careful of what I say. I can't say that I support or don't support, but if there are legitimate medical uses for marijuana, I don't see. I had a husband who died of cancer, and I know the nausea that he had. And let me tell you something. If there was something that could alleviate that side effect, I would have done it anytime. So I suppose that means I'm for uses of medical marijuana for legitimate purposes, that they can be used for. And we've got to regulate it just like we regulate other things to make sure that it bumpers around it. But
hey, how's about regulating something that really kills people, like prescription drugs?